And joining me now to discuss this is the Executive Director, Lead Network, Chukwuma Okenwa. Good to have you join us. All right, so I can't hear you, but I hope you can hear me. Just to test your audio one more time. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. So let's talk about this because we see that there are different reactions, especially on social media. There are those who, financial experts who are for it, and there are those who seem to also be against it, saying that perhaps it will lead to the free fall of the naira. But there are also those who are very confused as to what exactly this means. So explain to us what it means and then where it fits in the overall economic plan.
What that exactly means is with immediate effects, citizens will not be able to access dollars freely from bureau de change, but from commercial banks. So the central bank is now directing the weekly sales to bureau de change, to of course commercial banks. But then I want Nigerians to look at the big picture, because the big picture is that what is consistent with global best practices is that foreign exchange should be accessed through commercial banks and not through bureau de change, because in its very nature, and just like in our own instance, it does appear that bureau de change has outlived its relevance and the very essence for creating it in the first place, which is to meet the dollar needs of retail end users, not more than $5,000. But of course, there has been accusation and confirmations of money round tripping to the tune of millions of dollars, which of course does not help the economy, because it's affecting our foreign reserve and not having enough money, to meet up with our obligations as a nation, and making dollar available, for exporters, for manufacturers, for those that truly need this for productive purposes. And since bureau de change have failed in directing this for productive use, this is just the right step in the right direction.
All right, so there are those who are also wondering about the sustainability of this policy, seeing that this is not the first time that the CBN had said it will stop selling, Forex to the BDCs. It did the same thing in 2016, but went back on that policy. We've also heard the CBN say they will no longer intervene in the entire process. They will stop the intervention policies, but we still see the CBN intervening. So how sustainable is this, especially when you look at that in light of the intervention policies of the CBN?
I am worried also about the sustainability, but most importantly, since this is the second time, I would want to believe the CBN will be ready to do something different, to be able to advise the politicians, because you talk about politics and economy are inseparable. So I know there are political interference, because now that this decision has been taken, with or without due consultations with the bureau, the change market, I'm sure a lot of consultations are headway, and there will be lots of, interventions, pressures here and there. So it will now be, the onus is now on this current administration to ensure that this wonderful policy, which will really help to strengthen our economy, and of course the naira, and of course attract more investment, stabilize production, and help the economy on the overall, that these get to succeed this time around, esteeming national interest above personal interest.
You mentioned the issue of pressure. Let's talk about pressure, but this time on the citizens and residents, especially for those who will need to access this Forex. Now everyone has to go to the commercial banks. You understand the bottlenecks that comes with accessing Forex in the within the banks. And how do we manage this, especially for those who need it for immediate transactions?
What I would advise, since CBN has announced immediate stoppage in terms of sale of Forex, foreign currencies to the BDCs, it should be immediately channeled to fund the banks, so that there won't be issue of you go to the bank to access funds for legitimate purposes and it's not available. Before now, the interest and the focus and the channeling has been through the BDCs, and that is why when you go there all of the time, you are sure to get dollars. If the same kind of focus is placed on commercial banks, I am sure that the issue of going to bank and not having access to dollars will be ended.
And I wish we have enough time to talk about how we can match the fiscal policy, along with this monetary policy. But my time is up. Thank you so much for talking to us, Executive Director, Lead Network, Chukwuma Okenwa.
Thank you so much.